Hi, my name is Crystal. If you've watched more than one of my Jiu-Jitsu videos, it does take time to create these videos, so go ahead and double check to see if you're subscribed.
I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8, 38s, 9, 9, 10 Mac 10, 6 never end. You can't touch my riches, even if you had MC Hammer and them 357s. Biggie Smalls, a millionaire.
If you don't do Jiu-Jitsu, the purpose of a Shark Tank is a final stripe test requirement for most schools. So in other words, when you progress up the belt rank system from white to blue to purple to brown to black, the maximum number of stripes is 4 stripes in order to be considered to be promoted by your coach to the next belt rank. Now at 4th stripe, this is where this Shark Tank comes in. Yes, it's a test of skill, but it's not just a demonstration of skill. What it really is a demonstration of heart. It's a demonstration of when you are completely exhausted, you have no physical strength left, what comes out? Do you keep on fighting? Do you keep on moving? Or do you stop fighting and give up mentally and your heart's broken? And you know, like, we as fighters, the victim mentality is something that we want to grow out of. We want to be able to look at challenges and overcome, to self-overcome. My first coach described the Shark Tank like this. You're in a burning building, a beam fell, severed your legs. There's broken glass everywhere, and you're crawling on your elbows, making it to the door through the broken glass. Do you keep on crawling? Do you keep on inch by inch getting your elbows into that glass to make it to the door? Or do you give up and stop moving? That is the essence of a Shark Tank in Jiu-Jitsu.
I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8, 38s, 9, 9, 10 Mac.
Now in Jiu-Jitsu, for some reason, I always think I'm bigger than I am. If you look at the wall of people and you see Laura on the left right here, I am about 2 inches taller than Laura, and I don't know, like 15, 20 pounds heavier. So that's just a reference of how I would fit in size-wise in this lineup. Right off the bat, we have Jeremiah coming in strong with a double leg. A defense to a double leg, a counter, is a guillotine. So I put on an S-grip guillotine, which is great because even if they pass your guard, that guillotine still applies. That's what's special about the S-grip guillotine versus any other grip guillotine. If anybody in our school wants to practice, you know what it's like to have a street fight type headlock grip, to feel that, definitely roll with Jeremiah and start from that position and have him grip your head. Like, it felt like my head was a watermelon. My temple still hurts.
I'm getting so cold. I ain't went this hard since I was 18. Apologize if I say anything I don't mean. Like, what's up with your best friend? We could all have some fun, believe me. And what's up with these new niggas? And why they think it all comes so easy? But get it while you here, boy. Cause all that hype don't feel the same next year, boy. Yeah, and I'll be right here in my spot with a little more cash than I already got. Tripping off you cause you had your shot. With my skin tan in my hair.
Now, if you ever do a Shark Tank, one piece of advice is to wear your competition gi. Here I'm wearing a GSM, I think it's like 550. It's a very thick gi that's very hot. And right now I'm experiencing extreme heat to the point where I feel like claustrophobic because I usually train in no gi. So I definitely went and found a gi in my size that was in stock that's lightweight, wear a lightweight gi, especially if you don't perform well when you're really hot. I mean, take a look at my skin tone. Like I'm not made for the heat, baby. I get my vitamin D for the year by walking past a window. The people are coming out at such a fast rate that I'm fighting from negative positions, and when I get a chance to get to a positive position, then the next person is called out. And the thing of it is, each of these people that are waiting, their time with me is 1-2 minutes top. So they can just go VO2 max the whole time because that's it. They're done. They can, walk off into the sunset. No big deal. But for the person that's in the Shark Tank, see, I'm like, screw this jacket. This jacket's coming off. The person who's in the Shark Tank, my Shark Tank lasted for between like 20 and 30 minutes. That's like the length of this footage. You have to think of, you're not getting a break. You're at VO2 max the entire time, hot. You have all of these people coming out at you with this new energy, and they're coming out at you at a pace where they're just taking over like if somebody has back control, they're just jumping right on your back before you even get a chance to stand up and like restart. That was definitely a level of intensity, because when you're fighting from the bottom or you're fighting from a position like somebody's on top of you or somebody has back control, especially if somebody's on top of you, it is even more taxing. When you're in top position, you don't have to bear somebody's weight and you don't have to bear their pressure. You don't have to fight off their attacks. So it's also like an additional level of fatigue. So you have like the physical fatigue, and then you have the mental fatigue of never getting a break mentally, never getting like a positive position or a win. It's basically a very long duration of fighting from crappy positions. It's almost like, do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when I first started jiu-jitsu and I was a white belt, and if I was one of the smallest people on the mats going up against a room full of killers, for that first year or two, it was hard to get anything to work live. I was on the bottom getting smashed every single day. And I remember one day going home, sitting on the couch and realizing, like, Crystal, they can beat me with skill, they can beat me with their strength, but they will never beat my heart. That was a true like realization and pivotal moment for me, that as long as I had my heart, I would keep on showing up and keep on doing it. And that's the real winning. And somebody armbars you or chokes you, like the winning is to be able to look at that and have wisdom about it, which in jiu-jitsu means emotional regulation. As a white belt, I remember I would feel bad when I would get submitted during training, and my coach said to me, like, listen, like, take the stoic approach. Don't feel good nor bad, feel nothing towards it, and just view it as training. And for me, that was a great stepping stone, because if I was feeling negatively about it, so the next best thing to feeling negative about it is to feel nothing towards it. And now when I'm training, if somebody hits like a really sweet takedown or a really sweet move, it gets me excited. And that is a great place to be in order to grow, because like imagine the advancement in your training and the wisdom you can have when you look at somebody choking you and you think, man, like that was a really good technique. Like, what did you do there? As opposed to, oh man, I suck, I got submitted. Like those two attitudes towards your training is so key. It was so key for me, and it definitely allowed for my longevity to keep on training. So if I had any advice for, white belts or people trying to come up the jiu-jitsu ranks, your mentality is everything. Speaking of Jiu-Jitsu mentality, here's an important tip that's going to help you in your Jiu-Jitsu and in life. I remember my first coach telling me how, okay, Crystal, if you have somebody in a rear naked choke, count to 10. And when you have somebody in a rear naked choke, the time goes by so slow, and I started to doubt myself like at second 5. At 5 seconds, if you start to doubt yourself and you readjust, that allows a burst of blood to then flow to the brain, and you're basically resetting the clock as to starting your choke all over again. So here, I could feel that I wanted to challenge his confidence in the choke. I have no problem at this point. I was in fight mode. I'm like, I will go out. I will go out unconscious. It's no big deal because you just come back to instead of, like a broken arm. One thing to keep in mind in Jiu-Jitsu is to believe in the technique. There's train, believe, and stuff happens even in real life. So definitely if you're ever choking somebody, you gotta believe in the choke and do not readjust. Believe and have thoughts of like, you're going out. And the other person will feel that. Like when somebody is choking me, I can feel their vibe and I can feel their level of confidence in what they're doing. Okay, like I know, we all know where this is going. When I went and visited Africa, there is like a tribe of African people, and for the test, in order to be at like the next level, you had to go out and challenge a lion. And in order to challenge a lion, it's not the fact that, of course, the lion could beat you hands down, but you had to convince the lion that you could beat the lion. And that's a vibe. Okay, you are just fighting off of vibes right there when you challenge a lion and they back down. They don't do that anymore nowadays, but that's just an example of how your vibe can really impact what you're doing. And right now my vibe, I went into a mode of like what I learned during white belt training and blue belt training under JJack was basically right now, I had zero emotion. It was just, okay, Crystal, my mantra was, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step?
You're feeling the strength for the run, step up, hit a bump, get a jump, get the dust, just feel just begun, it's straight buzzing, loving your people's dust, we so real, chill, better bring your weapon and step and bring on that ammunition, tripping, no sip, not to mention, never knew no competition, but I gotta get mine, so scream my mo and let me hear you holler, not about that mighty dollar, broke the bomb of the baller, tank ain't remaining the same, flaming my dank and drinking cruise, thinking about that hanging, cutting my back, it doesn't with you.
What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? He's on your back. Fight the hands, control their hands.
Next, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 fine young men from Seattle. Here they are, Nirvana.
Stop yourself.
Get over their bottom leg. So if you're ever on the bottom during a Shark Tank, just remember having a mantra of what's the next step just keeps you focused and keeps you moving in the right direction.
Cry out for man. Love myself better than you. Know it's wrong, so what should I do? I'm on a plane. I can't complain.
So there's 2 things to keep in mind. The whole Shark Tank, and even for me, my whole white belt career, my entire time at white belt was defense and learning how to defend myself, which is, there are 2 principles. Don't let the position get worse, and escape and advance position. So for example, if somebody has side control and is trying to break your shoulder, how can you escape?
Here we are now.
So here, your guard in Jiu-Jitsu means your legs. So it's really important to always have your legs between you and your opponent, and when they pass your legs, that means they pass your guard. And right there, that Kimura from Keisuke Katami was actually how Kimura was named Kimura during the fight with the Gracies. That was actually, his Kimura was actually from Keisuke Katami, which I didn't know. I thought that was like super interesting. But anyway, side note. Now I come up on a single, and once you have a single, the principle is to cut the corner to try to get your elbow down to the mat. That way you have more control over their leg and you can progress to dog fighting techniques from there. So he was doing a good job of posting his hand, that way they didn't allow that to happen. So here I have shin to shin, and I was looking for a shin to shin entry to X guard, but he attacked my neck, so I bailed on the X guard entry.
That's how I got the weed spot.
Johnny has a Kimura grip, which is an extremely controlling grip. It's not just a submission. Getting a Kimura or a reverse Kimura, you can really control your opponent with that grip and transition and sweep and do a bunch of cool stuff with that Kimura grip.
I shot straight in the head, took the bread and the lamb spread. Little Gotti got the shot into your body, so don't resist or you might miss Christmas. I told guns.
Right now I'm holding on to that single leg like it's the raft after the Titanic sank. If all else fails, be a complete pain in the Now I have my grip together as he has this rear triangle, which is a great type of control. I love this control. And from here there are multiple arm attacks. So I am holding my arms together, and right here I'm keeping my elbow bent as I'm trying to release. I'm trying to escape that triangle, but I also don't want my arm to get broken. So I prioritize the grip over escaping the position. And right there, that would have been a perfect opportunity for him to muffle me. I love using the muffle technique when somebody has their hands together in defense against me attacking their arms, because then they have to release their hand grip in order to remove my hand from their face. So if you block their nose and cover their mouth, they can't breathe during the muffle, so they have a choice. Either they let go of their grip to remove my hand and continue breathing, or they don't continue breathing because of the muffle and keep their hands together clasped, defending against any type of arm attack. So here we have, this is the last and final round right now. I'm going up against my coach, and what he is doing right now is he is fighting me, but what he wants to see is, okay, I am physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. Just prior to this, I had to perform any technique that he asked me off the curriculum. On my previous video, I showed what that was about.
Don't stop, they keep going. Hey, you can lose your life, but it's gonna keep going. Why not risk life when it's gonna keep going? Yeah. When you die, somebody else was born, but at least we got to say
He is fighting me, but he's also giving me very small openings to see if I will capitalize on those openings. So right here, here's a perfect example. He has my back, and in order to maintain back control, he would need to keep that bottom foot. He would need to prevent me from escaping by hipping over the bottom leg. But he left that opening for me to see if I would take it. Even in the state of complete exhaustion, do I still remember the basic jiu-jitsu moves?
why not risk life when it's gonna keep going? But at least we got to say we
right now, it's like, if you give me an inch, baby, I'm gonna take a mile, okay? I hadn't been on top for like the past 20 minutes, and I like being on top, okay?
We ran out on digit, we ran out for money. We ran out on digit, we ran out for money. We ran out on digit, we ran out for money.
In Jiu-Jitsu, I find too, talking about mentality, like after I came out during this whole Shark Tank, like I literally did not feel any emotion. It was just very mechanical. Like, what is the next step? What is the next step? What is the next step? Like, attack the arm. Okay, he's lifted me off the ground. This is not good. If I was in a street fight, my head could get smashed on the ground. Let go of the arm, bail on that. Try to do something like an open guard sweep. All right, he's starting to pass. So let's try to scoop up the leg and do a side control escape, but make sure that I don't get my back taken. So it was basically like, in Jiu-Jitsu, your training becomes a program. It's like lines of code, and it's like, if this, then that, if this, then that.
My racks are squeaking on that pot and I hop in that Rari. I crinkle like Wari. Horses don't stop, they keep going. You can lose your life, but it gon' keep going. Why not risk life when it's gon' keep going? Yeah. When you die, somebody else was born, but at least we...
Right there, he had a collar grip. It's one of those details that is basic but forgotten. Address the grips. Right now he has a Kimura, so I know that there are, like, he commonly sweeps me or takes my back from this Kimura grip. I work to avoid that.
Why not risk life when it's gon' keep going? Yeah. When you die, somebody else was born, but at least we got to say we ran out on digit, we ran out the money. We ran out on digit, we ran out that money. We ran out on digit, we ran out the money. We ran out on digit, we ran out the money. We ran out on digit, we ran out some money. We ran out some digit, we ran out some money. Homies don't know like on future. I'm a coin that bit with a ruler. I'm a catch me a nigga like...
And Nate has some of the best butterfly guard sweeps, also called hook sweeps. Right now he could have triangled me because I had one arm in and one arm out, but I guess he didn't want me to go out like that. I appreciate it. What I'm focused on right now is spinning around to not get Kimura swept. Since he has such great sweeps, I'm focused on basing out in the direction that he's trying to sweep me in. That way I can use my arms and legs as a post, and I'm also working to remain in equilibrium, because if I commit too much to one thing, he's going to use that against me. It's called kazushi, off balancing. So if you get like a rocking motion happening, then the sweeps become easier. You can heel shave in order to defend against ankle locks. So I kind of like did a kicking motion. I wasn't really trying to kick his face. I was just, doing the motion as if to say, if we were really fighting, I would kick you in the face.
You can put your whole army against my team, and I guarantee you it'll be your very last time breathing. Your simple words just don't move me. You're minor, we major. You're all up in the game and don't deserve to be a player. Don't make me have to call your name out. Your crew is featherweight. My gunshots will make you levitate. I'm only 19, but my mind is older. When the things get for real, my warm heart turns cold. Enough to get to see another story gets told. It ain't nothing really. And yo, done struck the Philly, so I can get my mind off these yellow back niggas. While they still alive, I don't know, go figure. Meanwhile, back in Queens, the realness and foundation. If I die, I couldn't choose a better location. When the slugs penetrate, you feel a burning sensation, getting closer to God in a tight situation now. Take these words home and think it through, or the next rhyme I write might be about you. Son, they shook, cause ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Scared to death and scared to look, they shook, cause ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Scared to death and scared to look, they shook, cause ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Scared to death and scared to look, they shook, cause ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Scared to death and scared.
Shimmy y'all, shimmy yeah, shimmy yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on the natural charge, bon voyage. Yeah, from the home of the Dodger Brooklyn squad. Wu-Tang killer, hubby's on the swarm. Rain on the college ass disco dorm. When you didn't even touch my skill, you gotta go to one killer B, and he ain't for the kill down. Drop that down, pass it all around. Lyrics get hard when she went to the ground. For the MC and any 52 states, I get psycho killer on the day. My producer slam.
All right, here he was on my hair. He's like, that was part of the move. I was like, bro, can you get off my hair so I can move?
El pecho se me infla, tengo el peine 30 con la infra y tiro en el casa para aumentar mis cifras. Pude escoger el deporte, lleno el pasaporte y ahora estoy con la coca en la mesa dándole los cortes, citaciones de la corte y endecando todo el material, cortas con mutilación.
And again, like he is fighting me, but he's also giving me openings in order to move, to see where I would go with it, to see what jiu-jitsu, you know, what jiu-jitsu I had left in the tank, because Lord knows I was done. Do you see those big boys in that lineup with that heavy gi? Oh my God, dead.
I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up.
DJ Bebo, right?
So during the test, he asked me what my favorite move was, and I told him I really enjoyed spiral armbar, which is a Marcelo Garcia move, but I like the spiral armbar setup in order to get a mounted triangle, and then from mounted triangle he's trying to escape, and at this point I'm like, I need to make this as miserable for him as possible. It's a technique in jiu-jitsu. If you can make things miserable for people, you can, you know, break their spirit. And once somebody doesn't want to fight, it's a lot easier to defeat somebody who has no fight left. And that's part of this whole, you know, test, is to see how much fight do you have in you. You know, when you're going up against a crew that is 50% bigger than you, the majority of them, and stronger than you, like, and after you're exhausted, are you still crawling on that glass? Are you still moving forward?
These are really tough. If you're really well prepared, if you're in great shape, start thinking really tough. Then I go until you're tired, you don't want to do stuff. Keep long, you have to think over it. You have to let it do, and we'll go fight more. That's Yeah. I told her a long time ago, the second you hit your fourth stripe, what'd I say? Yeah. And still took her about a year after I gave her that offer. So you can no hurry for it, but now you can't sandbag anymore. People feel a lot better when they roll with you. Great job. Good job. Let's do a group picture right over here, and then we'll get started with open mat.
Roja. Roja.
That's awesome. Looks great on you.
Yeah, that could go a long way.
The brain rolls, looking, instead of choking off that pole, smoking, running from the popo. Now, gotta get them up with my good stuff. Right turn to the double glut, pull to the curse, smoke with my hustler. Up to the brain shot. Left me unneeded and tweeted. Gotta get another case for my truck. Oh, English really don't need it, but it gets my trees when they get drunk. They pop on, so leave them alone. You know when they get shut down. Put one in the neck, and you better believe everyone in the stood down. So what now? See the boat done clink up, never gon' change so flame up. Sit back and just listen to the same cut. As I face on my face and I came up.
Got a great job today. Good work. Get that timer. We're gonna go to the
Keep on training, keep on taking steps towards whatever it is you want, and have a good time. All right, bye.